will get it, so that's great. Okay, woohoo. I think we are just about cooking with gas. Just about. So here we are. Just need to find my teach notes to make sure we're good. Oh, and look at everybody jumping on. Thank you for joining me on Instagram. I'm so glad to have you with me. Very excited to have you with me. Today we are talking about iridology cameras, and we're going to talk about the ones that I've got and why I love them. And we're going to also, yeah, well, that's going to be the focus of today. Why I love them, the features I love, because, you know, you have to, well, we'll just talk about that. Just let me grab my, like I said, my teach notes. Okay. I just don't want to miss anything that is pertinent to what we're talking about. There we go. Fabulous. So thank you again. We are rolling. We're finally rolling. It's been an interesting morning, but thank you for being with me. I'm so glad you are with me. We are talking again about iridology cameras today. Now, my name is Judith Cobb, and I am a Master Herbalist, a Natural Nutrition Clinical Practitioner, and a comprehensive certified iridology instructor. I've been in this industry for nearly 40 years. I've been a practicing iridologist for about 35, and I've seen iridology do a lot of morphs, a lot of changes over those 35 years. And I want to share with you some information about iridology cameras. And this is just an important point, because if you're going to be professional, I'm going to suggest that you really want to have the right kind of equipment to do the job. Now, those of you who are maybe just starting out in iridology, I don't want you thinking that you need to run out and spend big bucks on a camera right instantly. What I'm going to address how I would suggest and how I teach my students to deal with that. I come down pretty hard on smartphones for iridology, because whether you want an iris assessment or whether you're an iridologist doing assessments, we need to agree that the quality of the photos determines the quality of assessment. Can you agree with me on that? That the quality of the photo will determine the quality of the assessment? If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up or let me know that you agree that if you've got a lousy photo, you just simply cannot do a great assessment. The photo quality is determined by a few things. The first is the lens. The second, and Rosalind's Natural Life agrees with me that photo quality is critical. Thank you, Rosalind. I really appreciate that. Photo quality is determined by the lens, how far away from the eye the camera lens has to be to get a decent picture, the resolution, and the lighting. Those are four absolute criticals that we have to take into account. Smartphone lenses are not designed to keep the rounded surface of the iris in focus at a close range. Now, just to show you what this means is everybody should have an extra eyeball on their desk. This is anatomically correct. The cornea is very rounded. You've got to have a special lens, a macro lens, in order to keep this whole thing in focus up close. So your smartphone lens doesn't do that. And so what that means is you've got to have the camera far away, and it means that when you do your photo, what you've got is mostly face. You actually get very little eyeball, right? So then you're going to crop that down so it looks like you've only got eyeball, but when you do that and then you blow that up, what happens is you lose definition. Have you ever done that? You've taken just any photo, any image that you like that is a normal resolution of, say, like 15 megapixels, and you crop a piece out and you blow it up, and all of a sudden it's fuzzy, it's foggy, it's indistinct. The other problem we get when our camera is way out here is we get a lot of light garbage, a lot of light pollution. We get reflections of items from inside the room or outside the room. We get light glare, and it totally messes up the image. So again, I've been in practice for nearly 40 years, and my clientele, many which have been with me a lot of those years are aging too. So when they started with me, they were young couples just starting their families. And now they're kind of middle-aged like me. They're in their 60s. Their kids are in their 30s. And now we've got their grandbabies coming in as clients. The kind of equipment you're going to use, the kind of equipment you want to buy first, needs to be determined by who your main clientele are. So what that comes down to is, if your clientele are primarily between the ages of 15 and about 40 or 45, there is one style of setup that works really, really well. And it's perfect for beginners once you've saved up the money to get it. If you're mostly shooting images of people under the age of 15 or people over the age of about 50, 45 or 50, you really want a different setup. So let's compare these two setups and let's talk about the differences. So this is the first setup that I love. And again, I've got two of them. We're going to talk about both of them because they both have different strengths and features. So this is built, this is the Iris Explorer 4, IE4 from Iris Labs. This is put together by Matthew Dahmer. And for him, his preferred camera body is the Canon. And it's mine too. I've always shot Canon. I love Canon. I don't know. I just have a love affair with Canon. And so if you're in North America, the T6i is a great one. I know he also uses the T5, or you can come newer than that. I believe that translates in Europe to the 1300D. And so this is a 24 megapixel machine compared to a smartphone, which depending on whether you're forward facing or backward facing will be a maximum of 15 megapixels. The IE4 uses a 60 millimeter autofocus lens, which you can, autofocus macro, which you can buy in any camera shop. So you're going to buy your camera body locally, you're going to buy your lens locally. And then in order to get the right tube length, you've got a couple of tube extenders. Okay. And so with this, it gives you the right focal length to get the photos you need. Some of the things I love about this, especially for new iridologists, is this goes right against your client's face. So I just wash it with a little alcohol swab before every client to make sure it's clean, but it goes right against the camera's face. Can you see how this is going to block out all of the ambient light in the room? We're not going to have to worry about, do we have bright overhead lights? Do we don't have to worry about reflections from the window. We've got this great. So online, Cheryl is saying she agrees. Oh, neat. I think she likes this. It's just pixels and oh yes. Okay, she's on board with this. So this just blocks everything out. Now, the other thing I love about this is, oh, Matthew's thought of everything here, is when you are buying a setup, you want to make sure that you have the choice of two lights to give you full frontal lighting and left-right switchable to give you the option of side lighting as well. Now, you know the importance of side lighting, right? If you don't, I want you to ask, because if you don't know why you need frontal lighting and side lighting, I want to cover that, but I won't cover it if nobody asks. So again, here's what taking a picture would look like. Lights on. We do one with both lights, and we just have the client always keep both eyes open, often give them something to look at here to keep them looking straight ahead, or when you're working in the two light mode, have them focus into the tunnel and see if they can see both of the lights. Okay, so that's, and then you want to turn one light off and do another picture, turn the other light off, do another picture, and then because we have the ability to control the light, we can also do sclerophotos, okay? So this is really, really important. So I love this because it has all of that. And of course, with your camera, when you know your camera, you can change the shutter speed to adjust the exposure, things like that to make sure you get the right image. And then when you know how to use it, you also know how to check and see what your settings were so you can duplicate those settings the next time around. Now, I have another setup that I also adore. And this one, so remember, this one is really for my 15 to 45 or 50-year-old crowd. But as I mentioned earlier, my clientele are aging with me. And because they are aging with me, and because we're having a new influx of babies from my third generation clients, we need a slightly different setup. And this is that setup. So this setup is, oops, I did that wrong. Just let me, this setup is created by John Miles. And so it's a little bit bulkier, but it is awesome just the same. To use this one, we're going to pop up our flash. This is going to use the camera flash. We're going to put this on. And there we go. So this one is quite a bit bigger, And with this one, and did you see how easy that was to change? So if you ever get to the point where you've got both of them for different clientele, super easy. This setup, because it does not go right against the face, you're going to be about this far away from their face. Can you see that? There we go. Is great for children, for little children, for senior citizens who have droopy eyelids, and for animals. So if you're into animal iridology, this is a better setup for you. I've tried doing animals with my other one, with my IE4, and it didn't work very well. And so, again, John Miles has several different setups. He prefers the Nikon cameras, but he will custom build his setups for your camera, which he did for me, which I very much appreciated. He also has the 3-way, which is brilliant, and his 3-way is controlled by this little slider thing here. When it's over to one side, we're only sending light down one light tube. The other side is the other light tube, and when it's in the middle, we've got light going down both. So this uses a focus light, and you can set that as bright or as dim as you want to get, and then you're going to move your camera in and out to get the focus. And then you're going to slide this to get your left, center, and right lighting, right? So this, again, is the setup I prefer for people who are older or who have problems keeping their eyes open really wide. When you've got someone who's got droopy eyelids, you may have to have them do this in order to open their eye wide enough to get the photo you need, right? Really important to just, I have them feel both sides, feel their eyelashes sandwiched between their fingers and stretch open. Sometimes I'll give them a mirror so they can see what they're doing so that I can get in there and coach them as to what needs to be pulled up higher or released a little bit. So this setup, again, doesn't use autofocus. The other setup does. Right, with the other one, you're right up against their face. You're going to use your autofocus. This one, you're going to manually focus by sliding the camera back and forth. And so, again, just rest your elbows on a table. Have your client rest their elbows on a table. Put their chin in their hands. And then you're resting across the table from them, supporting the nose of the camera, and you're just going in and out to get your focus where you want it to be. Excellent, excellent. So I'm a comprehensive certified iridology instructor, as I mentioned earlier, and most of my students don't have a bankroll to buy a setup like this right off the start, right? This is about, both of these are $3,500 to $4,000 US start to finish. So what I suggest you do is start saving your pennies, a piggy bank or a bank account, whatever, put a few dollars away every day and save up. Watch the camera stores locally and buy your camera body when it's on sale. Watch the camera stores locally, buy your lens when it's on sale. This setup uses a 100mm macro lens, okay? So buy your lens when it's on sale. If you don't buy them together, that's okay. It's not like trying to buy a matched outfit, you know, skirt and jacket or whatever, because the lenses are made to fit the cameras, and they will always fit the cameras if you buy the right brand, and your camera store can help you with that. So buy your setup one piece at a time. The illuminators never go on sale, so just go to the website and check things out. So this illuminator, John Miles, or milesresearch.com, I believe it is, milesresearch.com. This one is irislabs.com. Choose the illuminator you think is going to be the right one for you. Again, you want to have the option of 2 lights and right-left switchable, and then start saving. But watch your sales. Buy your camera locally on sale. Buy your lens locally when you've got the money on sale. And then when you've got enough money to buy the illuminator, buy that. It's exactly how I buy mine, right? I'm not sitting on a bankroll of 5,000 bucks Canadian, because that's what it would be in Canadian dollars. So I just watch when I need new equipment. I start saving up and I watch the sales and buy that when I can. Don't get talked into buying software that supposedly does the analysis for you. If you've spent good money taking a course and you've certified, then why would you trust some techno hardware to do the craft that you have learned? The techno hardware, and Iridology Fusion, thank you so very much. I appreciate that. The techno hardware puts a gap between you and your client. Right? You want that interpersonal relationship with your client. The techno hardware can't ask the real-time questions that need to be asked when you're doing a proper iris assessment. So don't buy that kind of software. It's expensive. I've looked at it. It's not really reliable, not the way you can be, and it's not intuitive the way you can be. So really, the key to doing an excellent assessment is to ask the right kinds of questions when you're doing the assessment. That's how you're going to get known as an excellent iridologist. Now, those of you who are just starting out and you're thinking, I don't have $5,000 or $3,500, depending on where you live. I really want to do iridology. What do I do? Start where we all started, a lighted magnifying glass. It's perfectly good to start with this. Absolutely perfectly good. So start here, $29.95 maybe, if that, and save the rest of your money. Don't buy a mediocre iris scope. Buy a good lighted magnifying glass. And I like to have my students set a pen light as well, so they can move the light around. And when you've got the money, then go ahead and start buying your professional grade equipment. With that, I want to invite you to join me for my next Iridology certification preparation course. It's called Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology. It will be starting on July 17th. It is taught completely online by live webinar. So it doesn't matter where in the world you live, you can take this course to prepare you for certification. The course runs 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time for 20 classes. Live, interactive, and the registration details and information and the tuition information are on iridology.education/info-registration. That's iridology.education/info-registration. Now, some things you need to know about this class. Virtually everything you need is going to be provided digitally, from the textbook to the iris map we use. It's all going to be downloadable from your student's site. I keep my classes small. It's an online class, and I want everybody who's in the class to make sure that they have time to get their questions asked and answered individually. And so I limit to 10 students per class, and I already have 6 of the seats sold. So there's only 4 spots left. Registration will be closing on July the 12th. So if you're interested in doing a course that will prepare you for certification with the International Iridology Practitioners Association, then this is your course. By doing this course online, you're going to save airfare, you're going to save taking time off work, you're going to save hotel, you're going to save a lot of things. And you'll just have your tuition to pay for, and then your exam fee to pay to IPA if you decide you want to certify. So just looking to see if there's any questions or comments about the course or about Iridology camera equipment. We'll give everybody just a minute if there's anything that they need to put in here. You know, and I'm just going to put a plug in that if you decide to go to Iris Labs and buy an IE4 or to John Miles and buy one of his illuminator setups, feel free to mention my name. If I know, and let me know, drop me a line as well, because if you let me know, then I will kind of stay on their case. Not that they need me to stay on their case. I find that if they just take really good care of my people. And so if I know that you've gone there, that I'll let them know that you've gone there and that you're from me. And that way, if there's anything go wrong, I can help write interference on any of it. The other benefit is if you buy either one of those and you've mentioned my name, I can support you in how to use the equipment. I can spend a few minutes with you online teaching you how to use that equipment to make sure you're getting the most out of it. Right? And that's a real plus. I had one person many years ago who took an Iridology course with me. She'd already been certified somewhere else. And she said she'd bought a camera, but she'd never used it because she didn't know how. It's like, oh my goodness, you've got a $5,000 investment sitting in the corner for 5 or 6 years unopened because you don't know how to use it. My students aren't allowed to do that. If you're going to buy the equipment and use my name when you're buying the equipment, I'm going to make sure you're using it. So with that, my friends, I think we are good for today. Thank you so much for being with me. I so appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in another Instagram Live, Facebook Live, or on the live webinar. Take good care. Talk to you later. Bye for now.